Hey, so I want to talk to you about the top lessons that Brazilian Jiu Jitsu has taught me that I've also used for business. And I actually got into Jiu Jitsu largely because I was interested in what it could teach me just from a self control standpoint, but also learning to love working against like resistance and make myself uncomfortable to learn some cool lessons. And now that I've been doing it for 2 years, I've gotten my blue belt at this point in time. There's some cool stuff that I've learned that I do use also in my business. So I'm going to take some time to share those with you today so you don't have to go through 2 years of jiu-jitsu to learn them. Now, that being said, I think I've learned them a particular way because I've been doing it for 2 years, right? And one of those lessons is that if you fail and fail and fail and fail, and if you actually realize that failure is the way, then you learn a lot faster. And let me explain this. In jiu-jitsu, we have like lessons, where we actually get taught stuff, like the coach will teach us something specific, but then you also have open mat, meaning you just go in there and you roll around on the mat with someone, and whoever, taps first loses, and then the other person obviously wins. So during those open mats, what I first initially did when I came in was like, I'd come in and I wanted to win. All right, right? So it's like, come in and especially when you don't know any technique, you kind of just freak out and you you just do stuff and you don't really have any technique. And so what I realized is, I'm going in and I actually learned this my first competition. I realized that I had played this game where I always wanted to win enough, and I have decent amount of muscle mass and pretty good speed and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the time I spent not being in vulnerable positions. So when I did a competition, I went against somebody that kind of could match me in my strength and speed and all that stuff. And they got me into a vulnerable position and I had no earthly idea what to do. The fact that I hadn't lost enough was the reason that I lost that particular match in competition. Now, since I've had that experience, I've now realized when I go into jiu-jitsu, I actually want to allow myself I don't just want to be in dominant positions. I want to practice being in vulnerable positions. So I actually go into jiu-jitsu, these open mats, in a sense, not being afraid to lose. And even in a way, not that I'm trying to lose, but in a way, I've realized that being attentive to the events that lead up to my losses actually teach me more than just going in and trying to win, because the more talent and skill and technique that I develop, the better I am and the less effort I have to exert in the long run. And so I'm better off. Now in business, this is something I've realized is very, very related. Like if you go into business just saying, oh, I'm going to win, and I just, have to win, and you have this like drive to win, but you don't have any tolerance for failure or loss, you really won't end up being all that great, more than likely. There's a saying that I heard from, I want to say it was Bart Miller, that is, and he may have heard it from somewhere else, I don't know, but winners lose more than losers lose. I'll say that again. Winners lose more than losers lose. In jiu-jitsu, that is something that I've definitely found to be true. The more that I lose, that actually teaches me more than when I just go in and win. Because if I'm winning with something, usually I've already learned it. It's like already within my repertoire. Same thing in business. Like, yes, obviously I'm not trying to go out and lose in business, but I have become less and less afraid of trying stuff and, more open to getting data, which if you know anything about the 40-70 rule, it really applies here. And I want to say it's Colin Powell that maybe kind of popularized the 40-70 rule. I've also heard that it's used within military, but it's essentially if you're going to make a decision in anything, again, this can apply for business, you should look to probably get at least 40% of the information and have like 40% confidence that you're making the right choice. But you should never seek to go above 70% in gathering data and in confidence, because you'll reach paralysis by analysis if you try to go above the 70% mark. Because in this world, this life that we live here on this earth, we really don't encounter 100% confidence. And if you try to achieve higher and higher levels of confidence above that 70% mark, you're probably wasting time more than you are taking moves that you would learn from and actually learn valuable lessons. Again, winners lose more than losers lose. So it's actually better to just take your shot than it is to, just try to be perfect. So perfectionism here to a degree is sort of the enemy. And this takes me sort of to my second lesson. It's kind of the same concept, but it's a different, a very specific event that hit me that made me realize that I need to take more big shots in my business, in entrepreneurship. And that is when my coach was, I was kind of trying some things, some takedowns, right? So it's kind of like standing, wrestling, and going to try to grab his legs in order to get him on the ground. And what I realized as I was doing this is like I knew I was being really timid, but I just was terrified to take the shot. And my coach afterwards said, look, you need to be willing to lose. You need to be willing to fail. You need to take the shot, because until that you take the shot, you won't get the data. So again, I'm saying this is maybe the number 2 thing that I learned, but it's sort of the same deal, that if you're going to lose and get the best amount of data, you've got to take really solid shots. So you don't want to meander into failure. You want to do whatever you're going to do it. Like, don't kind of halfway do it, really, really do it. And fail with style, fail with intention, fail with absolute resolution, because the more that you go into it with that, like, I'm going to do this, the more you really see the data after the fact. So again, all this for the most part is centered around failure, but also with winning. So this would be my third thing that I learned from doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when it, and how it relates to my entrepreneurship or business. And that is the 80-20 rule. So if you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, it's that 20% of your efforts should create 80% of your results. And Tim Ferriss, actually at one point, I think it's in his book, The 4-Hour Work Week, I could be wrong, but I know Tim Ferriss said this, that really in the real world, it's more like 5% of your efforts create 90, or should, at least in some organizations, 5% of the effort creates 95% of the results. And in jiu-jitsu, I've realized that, again, if you're developing technique and you're learning and you're growing, then you can use a lot less effort to accomplish much greater results. So instead of struggling and trying to do all the stuff that you could do, if you, and this is going to hit on a few different points here. So number 1, if you try to learn everything and you don't have your game down, your fundamentals, it's like, oh, I'm going to learn everything. That can sort of pull you away from just developing a solid jiu-jitsu game. But also then, kind of tagged along with that point, is if you're just muscling through stuff and you're trying to exert all this effort, you're probably not using technique. And if you learn technique and you had a solid game, which again doesn't mean you're doing all the things, just means you have a solid game, then you could work a lot less while accomplishing a lot more. And so this is what I call being leveraged, right? So if in business you're leveraged, you're taking advantage of everything that will make you way ahead of the game with less effort. And I think this is really relevant, especially as AI comes into the marketplace. You're going to be way ahead of people that just think that they're going to get somewhere by working hard. Working hard is a good thing in a sense, but it's really, really good when you're taking all the, not shortcuts, but leveraged avenues to achieve the most with the least amount of effort. So you can work as much or more than someone that is, they're putting out a lot of output, but they're not as leveraged. And so therefore, if you're both working the same amount, you can achieve 2, 5, 10x, 20x, 100x, because you're looking for the opportunities to sort of multiply your efforts. And so, this has really opened up my mind a lot to going, maybe I'm not thinking big enough, because I've been so focused on just working hard that I get caught in the day-to-day and I forget to look and go, what else could I possibly do? So, these are probably the 3 points that I'll share for now. This video could get a lot longer, but I want to keep it right around that 10-minute mark. So I may do another one of these at some point, but we'll call this one maybe like the top 3 lessons that I've learned as, up to the point of being a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. But thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you found any singular point more interesting than the next, or maybe you do jiu-jitsu and there's some things that jiu-jitsu has taught you, whether it be in business or whatever else. I want to hear from you, so leave your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, of course, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until next time, thanks for watching.